Hello and welcome to my Esoteric Explorer channel. I'm your host Paul, and today I'm joined for this evening with my sidekick and brainbox, Melissa Campbell of the Mercurial Pathways YouTube channel. Link in the description. And my special guest for this evening is Dane Quirk of the Saturn Rooster YouTube channel. Please check that YouTube channel out if you haven't already. Now, Dane Quirk treats the universe as a stringed instrument where circles, planets, monuments, and measures are all harmonics of the same underlying system. Now, Dane is going to share with us today some of his latest findings. But first, I thought that I would ask Dane a few questions just to warm us up a little bit. So, is that all right with you, mate?
Yeah, mate. Great.
Brilliant. Okay. So, Dane, when did you first realise you were onto something? Was there like a single click moment where the numbers stopped feeling random and started feeling like a system?
Yes, there was actually, yeah. Which is strange. I never sort of, like my father, we'd never remember even our birthdays. But I remember this day like, so it was the 23rd of August last year, was actually the day I looked up the fretboard, like a Luthia video, and just noticed a bunch of numbers I recognized from the universe and thought, oh, hang on a minute. And then we were kind of away from there. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. By the way, people that are watching this, if you haven't seen my previous video with Dane, please do check it out. It's absolutely incredible, especially if you play the guitar like I do. I'd now look at the guitar in a completely different way. So that is well worth checking out. Okay. So, um, so Dane, you often say the meter was stolen from Egypt. What exactly do you mean by that? And what's the clearest historical or mathematical clue that makes you think the French were repackaging something much older?
It was from that 23rd of August kind of discovery, and I realised, as you'll see today, sort of a little bit clearer than last time, a little bit simpler than last time, is that it's all those measures, whether it's megalithic yards or cubits or meters or miles and inches and feet, that are all are in when they are one family. They're like they're all like derived from this one system. It's like they were never separated, if you know what I mean. They all kind of work together, and it's still like this process of seeing how they envisioned the world, how they saw everything. But I've seen from even so like Norman Wildberger, who's a professor here in Australia and a mathematician guy. They show you all the ancient methods of their multiplication and division and all these things, how they do a doubling system. They've just kind of got these very neat and tidy sort of Occam razor systems, that can also actually be found in by anybody without being shown. It's kind of like common to all men. So I'm very repetitive with two things that I say, which is half a string is always an octave, and six circles fit around one circle. So like that can be found by anybody without any explanation or being shown. So sort of common to all men type of thing. And like looking at the moon cycles, we can all see those all together without being explained to. And that's kind of where I kind of start from with everything. If it's not common to all men, I just kind of think, I'll scrap it. I'm not interested. It has to be discoverable by anybody at any time. And it
Okay.
seems to me that with this string thing, it's that's exactly what's going on here.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the meter is basically you could say it was 39.37 inches, and maybe of course they didn't call it a meter or anything, but it's a fraction. It's a part of this one beautiful system.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
So when you see a match, what makes you feel confident it's meaningful rather than coincidence? Is it repetition, elegance, cross checks, or something else?
No, all of the above. Yeah, it's the it's the beauty of it, but it's very simple. It's extremely simple, and there's sort of like these keys. I was thinking yesterday about about this thing, doing this today. And you've seen the movie where they've got the stones in and he clicks his fingers. What is that movie? It's one of the,
Oh,
what is
with
that?
the Avengers, and
Yeah.
oh
So
yeah.
yeah, there's kind of like these 5 very simple keys, and yeah, once you get the stones together and you click, it's just everything kind of
Don't
emerges.
click your fingers, Dane.
Hey,
Don't click your fingers. Don't do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
destroy the world. But yeah, so it's kind of as you'll see, it's sort of starting from 1 with like what they call the Pythagorean harmonic series, and it's just 1, and you double it and triple it. So yeah, that's where we get the 432 hertz and all that stuff we've heard about, 440, 432 hertz. But 432, it's got all 144 and all those numbers that are in there, the harmonic numbers. So it's just from doubling from 1 and tripling 1. So quite simple. The Chinese would have found it, and anyone anywhere in the world without even meeting each other. So it's things like that. I'm sort of wanted to stick to, kind of like restricting myself in my search, without it's got to be discoverable by anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think the guitar fretboard is such a powerful lens for this? What does it let you see that a monument or a calendar doesn't?
Well, it was like I say, the 23rd of August, I had that idea of let's have a. Many people had sort of looked at the harmonic series, the 144s, and that all those numbers. And we sort of exhausted that. It sort of got to a dead end. It sort of there wasn't much more to be discovered there. And then on that day, I thought, oh, let's just have a look at the ratio that breaks up those frets, because as we know, they get smaller and smaller as they get to the end. So I knew, okay, there must be some way that they do this. And I was a guitar tech for the Chili Peppers back in the day, and I was doing the intonation, which is string length, and getting those, at the 12th fret, you hit a harmonic, and then you press your finger down, and that's the same note on the 12th fret. So if they're a little bit sharp or flat, you adjust the on an electric guitar, especially. It's harder on an acoustic, but on an electric, you've got a little saddle piece, and it can move up and down. So you just adjust that. Either if it's sharp or flat, you move it, which way, each different way to get it nice and, without that wobble, the wobble, 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 until it's just nice and clean. And then you've got that lovely, perfect string length. And you do that on all the strings. But I had seen the monochord. So was it Pythagoras and all these guys were talking, and many others as well, about the monochord. And I've seen the pictures. They're kind of like Renaissance looking era, where it's the earth and the monochord and all this stuff. And I've just seen these
The
pictures
single
along the way.
string.
Yeah, the single string. And that they were saying that the universe, like all these masters had said this, well before me, that the universe is like a stringed instrument. So I kind of got it from those guys. I sort of was taking the clues from them all, because no one's really published it just kind of plain Jane, where it's just easy. It's kind of like encoded and a little bit cryptic, and so yeah, I just sort of went down that road and thought there must be something here. Yeah,
Fascinating.
and there
Okay.
was. Yeah, there is.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. You come back to 630 millimeters a lot. In your mind, is that number chosen or found like something that nature pushes you towards? And how would an ancient builder discover it?
It's like I've seen from great mathematicians, like professionally trained mathematicians. They all uh, sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. It's
Course.
like maths wasn't invented; it was discovered. So I've heard that many times over the years, and I tend to absolutely agree with this. That it's just whether we look at the moon and we can say, okay, half moon, and or you can just count the phases, So this kind of counting is basically the basics of it. Is just simple counting and very simple arithmetic. I never do any square roots. I never do any anything except minus, plus, divided by, and what am I missing? That's all I do, simple arithmetic. And it just seems that all these things just emerge. And I just kind of sit there and look down and go, oh my goodness, what is this? What's going on with this? And in the since August last year and since our chat last time, it's just become even more simple. So the missing kind of piece was time and space. So even like on a compass, we've got the minutes and seconds on a compass. So it's a time and space system, yeah. It's like I think time, like the 24 hours, 60 minutes, came before great long distance travel. I think you'd have to sort of know a little bit about the movements of the sun and time before discovering or making even measures, you know, whether it be miles, feet, or whatever system you'd like to use. I think time, to me, it looks like it might be time that came first.
Would you think though, Dane, that maybe that can go together, that the system, this ancient system, is based on time and space together?
Yes.
You know, if they're the fourth
that's right.
dimension. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's correct. Yep. They come together. They're one thing.
Yeah, when you think about it, like you have to move in time and space, and you can't have one without the other.
Yes, that's right. It's just it's like the quadrivium, you know, the four arithmetic, astronomy, geometry, and harmony. They're sort of four disciplines, but they are never separated. They never act alone. If one's, they are always together. Yeah.
That's great, because then you can say that then any part of that quadrivium can apply to either time or space. So, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Dane, I've been watching quite a few of your videos lately, and you have this great phrase, 6 and a little bit. So what do you think the ancients thought that little left over represented? Was it just a practical measurement, or did it carry symbolic meaning too?
Yeah, I often try and get in the heads of, you know, of trying to be an ancient sitting around a campfire, even a Denisovan or something, just working out simple things, you know, the beginnings of all of this. I'm trying to imagine being the first person to ever use a compass and just draw a circle and just look down and go, oh, you know, like, yeah, him sort of, you know, crawling out of his cave and he draws a circle and whistles out to his mate across the valley and he comes over and they go, oh. So I kind of yeah, I'm trying to go right back there. That's kind of where I like to go, because I'm a bit of a Neanderthal myself, so I can, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
But yeah, sorry, the 6 and the little bit. So just that laying, you know, you'd lay the radius maybe with a piece of string or whatever you're using, you know, when you lay it around and you get almost to the end, but you've just got this little bit left over. And this little extra portion also does some pretty amazing things, which we might not get to today, but I think maybe, you know, in their minds, they might have seen this little extra portion as sacred, or is the God or the creator's extra portion. I almost think of the old movie Oliver, where he says, you know, please, sir, can I have some more? And it's like this little bit at the end. It's an extra portion. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
It's magical though. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right, I'll ask you one more question, then I'll ask you to give us your presentation. So, if you had a room of curious teenagers and one whiteboard, what's the simplest demo you do to show them this is real, something that they can repeat at home?
Well, I'd start with just adding from 1 to 27. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to 27, and you'll get 378. And that's the synodic period and the cycle of Saturn, one of the main cycles of Saturn. And so simple things like that, kind of, especially for the, you know, excitable like myself, you know, that to me is like, I still jump out of my skin. I still think, like, how does Saturn know how to do that? You know, how does that, can Saturn do math, you know, like it's quite like miraculous. almost, you know.
Mm.
And that's really what I think this place is. I think this place is a magical, non-accident place, run by very simple laws that 1 + 1 is 2. You know, the universe doesn't break that law. It's not doing its own thing. The basics are always the foundations, always the footings of reality, you might say.
Mm.
Dane, would you say that there's, on the one hand, the designed system, you know, the one with the grid that you're putting over time and space, and it gives us the mile and the foot and whatever. And then on the other hand, you've got these amazing coincidences like that one that you just said, you know, getting to 378 just by adding the first 27 numbers. Like, that's almost beyond the design, isn't it? I mean, well, human design, it's something else.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, that's what I mean by when man discovered these things. Man did not create any of them. He didn't even create the meter and the mile, in my opinion. But I think that they discovered these things. I think they were as amazed as I am about the 1 to 27 and all the things you'll see today. But I think they just, I keep getting kind of a whack across the face, like, whoa, how is this happening?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic,
amazing.
mate. All right, do you want to get going then? Do you want to show us what you've got in the way of your latest findings?
Yeah. So we'll just start with, I did this up the other day, and it's again, like I've been trying to think like presenting it to the children. So this is kind of why I'm just kind of keeping it real simple. So yeah, we got the 6 around 1 and the seed of life. And, you know, I've realized that wasn't an accident calling it the seed. I mean, it looks like a flower, but we call it the seed. And that's what I've been sort of searching for, is that we quite often look at the branches and the trunk and we're sort of describing all the things on the surface, but I was always like, where's the seed to all these things? And turns out it kind of is just that. So, and it gives us like the 6. So we see around the entire world that the cube and this black cube thing. So in Sydney and all the capital cities in Australia actually have got this black cube. The Jews wear a little black cube on their foreheads and they walk around the cube in Mecca. This cube is there's 4 billion people, I really realize, that are right into this black cube, whether they know it or not. All the Abrahamic faiths and even the Indians and Hindus are right into Shiva, and they're all time gods. They're all about time. So it's really Saturn seems to be the most ancient worshipped father godhead on the planet. I can't find anything else that suggests otherwise. It seems to just always be Saturn. And now I realize why that is. You know, when I've asked a bunch of astronomers, I've looked online anywhere, and there's just nothing about why that they chose Saturn as the time dude. So, but I think I've found it. I'm pretty, and it's really kind of very simple. It's like I showed Melissa the other day, 378, and you times 3 times 7 times 8, and it's 168, which is how many hours there are in 7 days. And then the 7 days, 24 hours, and all that goes right back to Sumeria and the Babylonians, the earliest clay tablet stuff. So it's been known for as long as we can kind of remember, really, this 24 hours, 60 minutes, 7 days. And the 7 planets and the moon and sun were obviously used as these guides, you might say, to choose 7 days, and realizing, of course, when they get your solstices and equinoxes, and that 365 days is not too hard to work out, I'd imagine, over time, you know, many millennia ago. So it's basically coming all from the seed. So things like when I added from 1 to 6, 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 to 6 is 21. And then you times them together, it's 720. And we know about it everywhere. The 72 demons or 72 gods or 72 in every culture seems to be popping up a lot. And all those kind of harmonic numbers. 108 is a big one in India. So it just always comes back to this very, very simple stuff. And discoverable by all man across all continents. So And then we've got, so that's kind of like a key. So like when I was saying before about the stones and clicking your fingers, that's one of the keys, you know, this kind of 6 around 1. And everyone can do that without any measures, or just kind of miraculously happens, and they all just kiss. That's all just kind of lovely. That to me is, yeah, kind of the beauty of all this Occam razor. And then we have the what you were talking about before. Just they call it tau, I think, a lot of the time these days. I hear people calling the 2 pi. A lot of people call that tau. So 6.285 and 714. It's 44/7, and it kind of works just beautifully for basically bloody everything. So I don't get too carried away with pi. I just think 44/7 or 22/7. Or is it, yeah, is all you need. It's kind of suffice, you know. And so yeah, we'll that's kind of the beginnings, and then I'll get into this time and space. So we've got in 7 days we've got 10,080 minutes. So it's kind of 10,080, and that's where you'll see now is where all these measures actually come from. Yeah, the meter, the mile, the foot, everything. So we start with we divide that, and with our Pythagorean harmonic series, you've got C and A and D and B, all the notes. And in Egypt, for example, they always use this doubling system. They didn't learn their times tables. You know, they had this doubling 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and they had this beautiful way of doing their math. So in the C column, that's like the doubling column. The Rosicrucians were right into this Gemini theme. They have and in the Shakespearean works, there's a lot of Gemini stuff going on, like a sort of obsessively. I think it's all about this kind of doubling, and even when we look at ourselves, we're kind of mirror imaged. We're, 2 eyes, 2 ears, this two-ness. So in that column of C, this doubling column, we have 256 hertz. I think that's the 7th C. So when we divide this 7 days by 256, we get, you might have to edit, Paul, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, God, I'm just having a bit of a, I don't think the mornings are that great for me, actually, but I might do afternoons next time.
You're doing better than I would do at 7 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you that, mate.
I actually had one of the most horrible sleeps last night. I don't know why. That's right. So when we do the 256, for example, we get 39.37, which is, as Melissa knows, that's how many inches to a mile. 39.375, I think it is, but it's so that's quite a
meter.
Yeah, for the meter. Yeah, and that's in inches, but that's the meter in inches.
Yeah, well, and, it's a variation on the meter. Yeah, it's a value that was used up until the turn of the 20th century a lot. Yeah. And I think it's still important and it's still relevant because it's the value that links in with all these numbers you're talking about. So all the harmonic numbers.
That's right. Yeah. So that's very important, actually, Melissa. Yeah, is that they all those keys, those 5 stones, they always are working together. They do this beautiful dance. They never get off the dance floor and do their own thing. They're always together.
And it's 40 times 63 divided by 64, I think. Or is it the other way around? 40 times 63 divided by 64. So you've got your 63 in there.
Yeah. Now this is where this 63 comes in as well, and this string length. So actually, I might just go to that 23rd of August for a second, and just when I realised that the 630 millimeter string length. So what happened, just for the audience, I always kind of get ahead of myself here, but the 630 was a fluke, right? So I thought, oh yeah, I'll look up the fretboard guys, and I'll look up the Alluvia people, and look at the ratio. The modern way that we do it, and how we get this fretboard ratio is that we do 1 divided by the 12th root of 2. Now, this is obviously done You don't really need this. You only need your ear. So if you've got a stringed instrument strung up and you're just moving your finger along, you'll notice any man in any part of any world, in any dimension, on any planet, is that you'll just go, you know, right? And there's beautiful 12 steps. There's 12 like whole steps and half steps. And you can do quarter notes and chuck some more in there, but they're very slight and beautiful coloring. And they have it in the Middle East a lot with these quarter notes and things. And that's why that music sounds quite different in the Middle
India
East
as well.
yeah,
absolutely.
Man.
Yeah,
and I love listening to it. It's gorgeous.
yeah.
So there are no rules. I think I've had a few comments before, like, oh, but you know, string length doesn't matter. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. Of course, you're right. Like you can have a ukulele, little string length, and you can have a big long double bass string length. There's no rules on earth as what we choose to play with. But I'm sort of suggesting that God's favorite string length is 630, and it makes sense too, because as we know with the nines, when it sums to 9, everything's fine. So 1 divided by the 12th root of 2 gives us 0.944. And that's rounded up. I think it's 9438 or something. So we round it up to 44. And that's what it does on the spreadsheet for these luthiers. And they just follow this. 1 divided by the 12th root of 2.
Cool.
So that was in August last year. And that just turned out, and as I'm looking down, I noticed Melissa's done a really nice job of this actually for me. She's put up on Discord all the frets, all the distance from the nut, the distance from the bridge, and the width of every fret, and the note even that it's played on that fret.
And there was another image done by Stephanie that was actually much better, but yeah.
Yeah, I like your one too. Actually, I saw the other day. It's just that white. We might even edit it in later. It's a really good one. But as I'm looking at that, it's all just popping up on my screen. I'm thinking, first fret is 35.4. I'm like, well, 354 is the moon. And then I see the next fret, and it was 68.7. I was like, hang on a minute, well, that's Mars, 687 is Mars sidereal. I'm like, oh. And then I just thought, I thought, okay, well, if there is anything in this, I started getting excited. And I thought, okay, I'll if there's anything in this, Saturn's the boundary guy, he's the limitations guy. I'll go to the 24th fret, and I'll just go right to the last one and just have a little look-see. And surely if there's anything in this, he'll be there. So I went to the 24th fret, and I went the 24th fret from the bridge, from the back of the guitar, up to that last fret was 157.5 millimeters from the bridge, sorry. So I just went 24 times 157.5, and we got 378 with a 0 on the end. And I was like, oh my God, because that's Saturn's synodic period, 378. So when I saw that, I really was like, all right, well, we've got Moon, Mars, Saturn. It's all coming, just emerging. I mean, I'm not really doing anything. So since then, since I spoke to you last, I realized things like a nonagon. A nonagon's internal angles has 1,260 degrees. So that's the internal angles of a 9-sided shape. I times that by our little friend Tau, 6.285, 714, and we get the actual equatorial diameter of the planet, of Earth. We get 7,920. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is all really kind of sort of childlike, easy and fun. And it's all just sort of popping out, very simple. I realize so 3 nonagons are that 3780 degrees. When you just get 3 nonagons next to each other, the sum of those 3 nonagons is 3780. So 3780. Well, when we do that 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 to 27, and we get this 378, and 3 times 9 is 27. So 3 nonagons, 3 times 9, it's you know, I'm like, Saturn just knows how to do this. How does Saturn know to basically behave himself and do this 378? Because it's all to do with this very simple nines, you know, and really we just kind of have those 9 numbers and we have a 0 and we start again. It's just kind of this 9 looping thing, all very cyclical, you know.
Mm.
So this is kind of last year, and I'm getting all excited about it. So where we go from here is,
And Dane, all the harmonic numbers you've been talking about, they're all multiples of 9, aren't they? Just
yes,
to
in the harmonic
point that out.
series.
Yeah, like, you know, you were saying about 108 and 54 and all these numbers. Yeah, so that the 9 is really like important with that.
That's right. It seems to be just always to do with these planetary things, but it's a sort of a sacred thing in the ancient past, I think. It seems so, you know, and it does seem to have kind of how you check your answers for everything. It kind of always come back to 9. So we'll go to this time and space again, and we'll divide this minutes in a week, the 10,080, and we'll divide it by 16. And we get the 630. We get 630. And the 16, of course, is quite important as well with moon phase. So they often counted from the new moon, waxing, waning, and new moon again. And it's 16 phases. Now, you can count it any which way. And there's different little ways of doing it. But 16 is quite a popular way in the ancient world to count the phases. But 16 is also a 16-sided shape. The internal angles are 157.5. And you remember that 24th fret, it was 157.5 from the bridge. So I'm like, okay, well, if the internal angles of this 16-sided shape is 157.5, then I looked across on our fretboard and I saw 472.5 is the measure from the nut down. So from the bridge up, it's 157.5. From the nut down to that same fret, 472.5. So I just did simple thing. I thought, okay.
Sorry, mate. Just to the viewers, you're talking about the nut, which is this thing here, yeah? On the guitar?
Yes. The very top of up. Yes, and the string
bridge
pulls over the top of the nut. Yeah. And the bridge is at the back of the guitar, and the string pulls up over the bridge at the back, and the nut's at the top of the neck. So when I got this 472.5 from the nut down and 157 from the bridge up, well, I went across to our little. They're both. Okay, I'll put this 4772.5. They're both the 24th fret. Okay, they're Saturn. Oh, that's where Saturn was. Yep, that's where Saturn was. He's at the 24th fret. He's at the boundary. So I divided this 472.5 by 16 because the internal angles of a 16 gone is 157.5 degrees. So I just went, okay, well, let's divide our friend here. Let's divide our friend here by 16. And miraculously, we get 29.531. And that's exactly the cycle of the moon, 29.531. That's exactly to 3 decimal places. It's like perfection. And I'm thinking, David Icke, he's always going on about this Saturn moon matrix. You know, and I'm like, yeah, well, there you go, Icke. They seem to be hanging out here together. And as Melissa knows, it's 29.5 years for the Saturn cycle, isn't it? And the 29.5 days for the moon. So they always seem to have this little interplay with each other, this kind of relationship. And I'm finding it on the fretboard that they're hanging out together. I'm thinking, wow, these guys, when they say that the universe is a stringed instrument, they really were. They were onto it, and they were trying to tell us this is exactly what this place is like. So I'm a musician and everything, but I've never really been good at reading music. My brother can sight read; he can just look at a piece and just play it. You know, I cannot do that. So I've always heard those sorts of guys say, you know, music is just number. And I was always thinking, oh yeah, okay, I suppose so. But I was sort of in the camp in my early life. Like, I thought numbers were man-made. I thought that was just kind of a thing that man came up with. But yeah, I'm realizing now that no, man discovered number. You know, he discovered this counting and this system of math. But yeah, I think that they, like me, got quite excited when they were discovering these things. So we'll just turn to, where's the page here? Yeah. So 16 squared is that 576. So 256 hertz. That's the C column, or that doubling column. So we got 10080 divided by 16 squared. Yeah. And we got the meter. We got that 39.375. And that's 16 squared. And if we go 10080 divided just by 16, we get that 630. I'm just writing it down and I'll hold it up here in a second. So we've got at the top there, we've got the meter at the top, and then we got this 630, which is this beautiful string length. And then we have for the cubit. Now this has only been recent, and this is what's really got me tickled pink, really, because it's we'll just go here. Now, we always hear about the Masonic G, you know, the Masonic G. Everyone's got their decodes. Everyone's decoding everything all the time about these things. And the seventh G, now it's the seventh letter, but the seventh G is 192 hertz, I believe. So 192. And again, when you look at the harmonic series, it's just, and to look at each column, you can see it's just doubling and tripling. There's no fancy stuff going on. And I realized that when we just divide these 7 days of the week, the minutes in a week, by the seventh G, the Masonic G, that we get 52.5. And that's the cubit or the rod, and they vary. But this variation, sorry?
I'm just saying it, that's in centimeters, yeah.
In centimeters, that's right. And I'm thinking, okay, well, these little variations, I really think, is just kind of when you're building a ruler or you're building anything, our modern ruler, well, a lot of the time we say it's 52.3, but it's quite easy, and even the thickness of lines and things like that can, you know, change it by, 0.02. It's very close. This 52.5 or 52.3 centimeters. And it's when you see that these numbers are actually telling the story on their own. They're not really. That's why I kind of think that yes, this 52.5 is doing a lot more than just. It's not just a measure. It seems to be time and space. So I'll just a little thing here. Now, what's the other measure I'm missing? That's right. In the megalithic yard, we noticed when we went from the Great Pyramid to the equator, we noticed in our Howard Crowhurst video that it was 4 million megalithic yards. And it's actually the note of E. It's the very last E in the Pythagorean series. It's right at the bottom, and it's we say it's 0.82944. And that's E, you know, you put a 0 in front of it for the measure in centimeters, but that's again another note. So we just kind of never depart from music, you know, from the quadrivium. They always seem to just work together. The sun's just sort of hitting me right now, so it might be hard to see. It's coming up through the trees here.
Lucky you, we don't get any right here, do we, Paul?
Yeah.
Unfortunately not, no.
I think, yeah, Dad used to tell me that he used to see the sun about 5 times a year in Scotland. Yeah, and they'd all go outside and go, "Ooh,
Yeah. If the sun shines here, you stop what you're doing and you get out.
Yeah. So the very middle of the string is 315 millimeters. Or again, someone said in one of my videos, and they were right, so I need to be more accurate about it, but you can make it'd be hard to play, of course, but a 630 foot string length or a 630 miles.
You have to play.
It'd be hard to play. And it'd be hard to string up and tune, I'd imagine too. But you can really use anything. So that's kind of the point here, is that arithmetic, and like we say about they're all together, that quadrivium, is that if you went a 630 foot string length, then it would work. The first fret would still be 35.4. The second fret would still be 68.7. So if you change the string length, you shorten the string length or you lengthen that string length from 630, you make it longer or shorter, it doesn't work. Basically, the moon's not there, Mars isn't there, Saturn's not there, nothing's there. It's all because they change slightly and all those numbers no longer work. You don't get those synodic periods. You don't get all those lovely, simple cyclical numbers from above. They just don't work anymore. So 630, you just stick to that in any measure that you like. 630 light years, you can make a string length that long. And again, when you want to break it up into the 12, what do we call it these days? Equal temperament. So we call it equal temperament now, but I think it was easily discovered forever ago. Just that, I can never sing it very nicely, but do 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 do. That's always pretty easy to discover by anybody. And you would just mark it on your fret, and whatever measure you have, you can just see that these ratios are like man can't do anything about. It just is what it is. If you can hear it slightly out of tune, the ear is the best way to kind of tell, even without a ruler. So I think I showed you guys in the last time I was on that I realized some things like that the perimeter base of the Great Pyramid is in feet, 3,024 feet. And this fretboard thing, I was like, this is really mind-boggling to me, is that when we take this perimeter base and we start using this string length, 630 and the fretboard, the width of each fret, as you go down, the widths of them, you divide that into the pyramid base, so 3,024. And so I'll use simple ones, like the 24th fret is 10.5 millimeters wide. Or if you were using feet, people out there that'll have a go at me, 10.5 feet, okay? Because if we've got a 600 foot string length, it still works. So it's just not really the centimeters or feet. It's just these numbers. So when we divide the pyramid base by the 24th fret, and 24th fret, you play an E. So E, open string, E. 12th fret, another E, it's an octave. Right up to 24, it's the second octave of E. So that second octave of E is, well, I actually like using D, sorry, because it's that 144. So I think actually 10.5 is the 22nd fret, sorry. So it's the D note. And the D note at the 22nd fret is 288 hertz. And when we divided this into the pyramid base, we get 288. Now that works for every single fret. Like if you start at the first fret and you divide width of the first fret into the pyramid base, you actually get the hertz frequency of that note. And it works for every single fret.
It's incredible.
Isn't that unbelievable? I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? And only when you use that 630 millimeter string length. Even if you made it 635, you just change it a little bit, it just doesn't work. You need that 630, divide it into those 12 equal steps. And those 12 equal steps, I think, is why we have 12 constellations. Well, they got it from a tangible, practical, observable by all men on the earth, and with our 5 senses, everyone can sort of find this out for themselves. Even if there was an asteroid tomorrow and there was a little pocket of people left, they would rediscover these things exactly as they are now. And I think that's why I sort of stuck on this and excited about it, because it would be rediscoverable in any time in history, even if
Yeah.
there was a mad cataclysm. Yeah. So even say that 3024 is that we actually just go 6 times 7 times 8 times 9, 3024. So all these things are really, really, primary school kind of level. You don't need any sort of mad equations or convoluted things or any complication. It's kind of just numbers. Just do this beautiful little simple things. I think that's where they got these things from, and from the musical instrument. I think the fret, we call them the frets now, but just those spacings between notes are distances, and they now actually show us these measures, these feet, centimeters, megalithic yards, whatever. They're all in, and they all are. Yeah, they're all hanging out, and you can pick whichever one you want, but they kind of lead to the next one. So, am I explaining myself good there? Do you want to ask any questions, or?
You are. Melissa, do you have any questions?
Well, it's just like the thing that comes to mind when you say that is it reminds me of, I don't know, I'm trying to remember who said it, but I think it's Pythagoras, but I'm not 100%, that everything is vibration.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me that, like, it's not just sound in that case, it's everything. And that's very close to what people are saying today in physics, that even these little tiny things that you think you might be able to see with your eye, they kind of disappear and they reappear, these particles, when you're watching them or not. And it turns out everything is actually just some kind of vibration. And even like if you pick up a book or if you touch a wall, inside it's actually just vibration. It's electromagnetic, but it's the appearance of solidity. So it just reminds me of what you're saying in terms of the hertz and these notes, these musical notes, and it's all being designed in this way, and that maybe the sound is representing this nature of the universe.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's hard, isn't it? It's quite a difficult, it's so simple, but at the same time, it's quite difficult to express, which is sort of really interesting in itself.
But when you're saying that it's the musical instrument is showing these divisions naturally because that's what sounds right to our ear, that's true. But it's also maybe like representing sort of the deeper workings of the universe. Maybe it's a way of representing that and quantifying that.
Yeah, I think even like say the moon phases. It's easy to count those, isn't it? The kids can do it. We can all do simple things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when we just do simple things like that, it all just works. It all works out. I think complicating it just doesn't. It's just unnecessary and.
But you say it's simple, but it's also very sophisticated.
Yeah, sure. I suppose it is, but it is sophisticated, but it's not complicated. I wouldn't think. Would you say it's complicated? Yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, I'm very much not very cluey about mathematics really. So it's if I can do it, kind of, I think hopefully most people can. But yeah, I'll just show you this quickly here too. Just that's what I was talking about a second ago with saying the base of the Great Pyramid, 3024, and so the width of the 22nd foot is 10.5, and you get all the notes, like all the notes pop out, over here. I'm like, oh my God, how is that happening? That's unbelievable. So what else we got here lastly is that's right. Now that's the big one I was forgetting here, is that 10,080, the same 7 days, minutes in 7 days, and we times that by tau, our 2 pi, and we get 63360, and that is of course how many inches in a mile. So we got 7 days a week, and we times it by 6.285714. My handwriting is terrible, and we get the inches. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that just unbelievable?
It's
That
gorgeous.
time and space. Time
Yeah.
and space. Yeah, time. Look, 7 days a week, inches in a mile. I'm just like, they really don't. They're connected to each other. And yeah, I'm just trying to imagine the first people that ever found this. They'd be like, oh my, they would have been probably having a barbecue and a fun afternoon. So yeah, divide that by 12 and we get 528 or 5,280. Yeah, we get the feet. And I'm choosing the 12's pretty easy when we got 12 equal steps on the fretboard, and that's audible. We can hear that for ourselves. So just all these very practical things, aren't they? They're like this really practical. It's not sort of an observable. Yeah, that's what I love about it. I think it's just that the kids can really kind of get it. I think if you have a guitar there and you can have a little lesson with a guitar and a whiteboard or something, you can hear and see it all working together. And yeah,
I wish I was still teaching now, because I'll be doing exactly that, I think. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now here's one for you, because I actually watched something of yours last night, Paul, and you were talking about this after the Tazarian one. You at the end you said, you're doing a kids book or something for the kids, and that's where I want to go actually next. It's like this is for the kids. Like the adults are all too intelligent and clever and whatever and arguing and I don't know, but the kids are great. They get it in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So here's one that's really that's a newie and it's amazing, but that's 600 inches in a mile there. And I said the 22nd fret is a D note, and the D note there on the 22nd is 288 hertz. Well, when we get these inches, right, and we divide it by 22, I mean, this is like, I'm just going, oh my God. Divide that by 22, that's it's 208, it's 2,880. What is going on? So the actual fret position, and you could call that steps, couldn't you? Like, do, 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 do. So you do that 22 times, and we call it and we get this. Now that's how many, in Egypt, there was 3 seasons. And it was that's how many hours in each season.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of these people were very inspired, weren't they? When you're building a pyramid, they were obviously inspired and motivated. And I really think very strongly that music inspired everything. It inspired absolutely every building. Especially in India, when we go to India and we look at those columns, there's a guy at the moment doing some stuff. He's fairly new in the last few years, but he's getting up there now. He's getting well known. He looks a little bit like me. He's another red-headed fella, and he does some great videos. And he's written a few books, I think, too. And anyway, he talks about those pillars in India and how they look like waveforms. So you've kind of got the pillar, but they've got these, jagged edges and everything. It looks exactly like. Have you ever used Pro Tools, Paul, for music or anything, or a music program?
No, I know about it, but I haven't actually used it myself. No.
Yeah, well, you just see the waveform. Oh, I'm frozen there. But you just see the waveform, and these
This is
columns.
the thing you attach onto the neck of your instrument that you can see it's like a digital tuner. Is that what it is?
Yes, but also in recording. I'm talking about like a recording program where you've got it. You can see you've got the bass, guitar, drum kit. It's all just on the screen, and you just see the squiggly line, and that's the waveform itself, And of course, the low frequencies have a long waveform, and the short ones, the high frequencies, are very close together. And so we find this in India in these columns and these pillars, and they seem to be basically the masters of this, at least depicting it too, of this sound, these waveforms. But the pyramids do that as well.
In India as well, they have those caves, the Barabar caves, where they have this perfect acoustic, and they're amazing. They're polished inside to an unreal degree, And I think that to do with sound and vibration, because if you go in, the sound carries in such an amazing way. So it does suggest that they had really amazing technology when it came to sound.
Yeah. And Malta's got that. Is it the hypergeum?
Hypergeum, yeah.
And it's tuned to some frequency. I can't remember the frequency, but it's, you know, again, one of these harmonic numbers that we find. And then the King's Chamber has a frequency, and you know, they're really into this frequency stuff.
Yeah.
They're really exceptionally knowledgeable about it, and they
you have to hand it to them.
Yeah.
There's no point saying, oh, they couldn't have done it. They couldn't have done it, because they obviously did.
Yeah. Yeah, they obviously did. Yeah, and again, India, they're quite different to looking to the pyramids. You know, you've just got this very kind of rudimentary shape in Egypt, but that does the same thing. It explains. They're like huge universities in stone, aren't they? They're like big books, and all these measures are. Yeah, they are all found everywhere. They're found in every continent. You know, 108, 144, 432. It doesn't.
Yeah.
They're just it's pretty silly to call it a coincidence, surely, but if they're all doing it at this various times, they're all using these numbers.
Yeah.
So they are frequencies and they are numbers, but I've just one here that's also just want to go over quickly again. We might have talked about it last time, but repetitiveness is good for this one. But that distance that Howard Crowhurst gave us from the King's Chamber, or basically from the Great Pyramid to the equator. And this is, again, what sort of just kept me ticking along and kept me digging was, now he did it in meters, of course, and it was 3317760. So that's, you know, crazy looking number. But in my video with Ryan, I think with Melissa as well, I said that's the D column. When you go 9 hertz, which is the tonic, that's the first note. So the top of the column is 9, and the very bottom of the column was 36,864 hertz, right? And I realized, so that's the very first one, and that's the very last D, that's D. And we times those together and we get this up here. Now, I don't think Howard knew about that, you know, about how it's related to this D column. But then when we go all the way from, you know, the second D and the second last D, and we do all the way to the middle until we get to the center, and that was 576 hertz. And we just times that by itself, 576 times 576, and we get Howard's number. We get the distance from the King's Chamber to the equator. So, I mean, I was just, like, well, these guys knew so many things.
Can you just explain the significance of that 368,646 number again? Because 36864 is, well, 36857 is the distance in inches between the center of the Great Pyramid and the center of the third pyramid. And so I'm just wondering what the significance of that is.
It's just the note of D.
So that's a D.
That's a D, yeah. So when you go to look at, I'll send it to Paul, but it's the harmonic series, you know, all the notes from C, D, E, G, all the notes along. That's the last one. So you'll start with 9 at the top of the column. That's the first tonic.
Yeah.
We can't hear that, by the way. We can only hear from about 20 hertz onwards. But the tonic is 9 hertz. So that's the very first. Would you say
that's maybe a sound that's intended for a divine ear or a dolphin? But what would be the significance of having that distance between the centers of these two pyramids? Like, is it to do with this vibration, do you think?
I think they're trying to teach. I think they're these magi druidy peoples that built these ridiculous buildings. I think that I don't think we even understand what humility is. I think that if we understood how humble these people were, we'd bawl our eyes out. They were just very quiet. It's like they just went and did it and then just nicked off, you know, and just there's no signature like I was here, look at me. You know, it was just this a gift. And when they call it Freemasonry, I think, that's apt, isn't it? It's masonry. It was given for free. It's free masonry. And They wanted to. They once
That's
wanted to
nice.
teach, and all this business about this is the deepest respect for every human that will ever live and has ever lived, because you and I are all made. I mean, I still do this. I'm a real weirdo, but I wiggle my fingers, and I'm like, what? This is amazing. Like, you know, I cut myself, and it just heals by itself. What is going on? Like, I'm just completely a child. I really am a child. That's why women can't stand me, because I just will not grow up. No, and I refuse. I'm not doing it. Doesn't look like it. It doesn't look very fun.
No, the feeling.
Yeah. So, musicians tend to be that way, or artists. We just bloody children to the day we die. But
So we live longer because of that.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think I'm never going to die, honestly. But yeah, that was the meters. Yeah, and then of course, everyone in the metrology world says, "Oh, Howard, there was no such thing as the meter," and but he was right though. So then we convert that to miles. Okay, so it was 2,062 miles, and then we convert that to feet. So we just times it by 5280. Then we get the feet, and it's 1,810,88,736, and that's the feet from the King's Chamber, or Great Pyramid, to the equator. And so then we divide that by.
That you can derive that from the 36864, can you?
Well,
so 9 times 36. So how did you get?
So 9. That's just 9 times so that's the first D and the last D.
Yeah,
or you can go for 176. Yeah, and the miles. It's 2,000. Sorry, I'm not getting your question, but
no, it's just that I keep going back to this idea of the 36864 inches between the two centers of the pyramids, and that's why I'm kind of thinking, how is that connected to the distance to the equator? Is it even though it's in inches, like is it an easy jump to make to get from that distance to the distance to the equator? I'd never even looked at it before, but I guess so. Yeah.
It's more like about the number. You know how before I said it doesn't matter if you've got a 630 centimeter string length or 630 feet.
Yeah.
It's the numbers. It's the numbers that matter. This is where all the magic happens, sort of thing. It's and it's how you can check your work. It's like, so you've got, like you're saying 603,864 inches, and that there is in hertz. That's hertz. 9 hertz times that many hertz, and it gives us this 331776. That's it. That's the distance. So that number is just what happens when we times 9 hertz by that many hertz. We get that number. But I was like, well, that's what Howard showed us. That's meters from the King's Chamber to the equator. I'm like,
which gives it a lot of credibility, because it's all like you find it in one place, you find it in another place, and next thing you know, you have a picture. So
we find it like in inches, like you're saying. We find it in hertz, and we find it in meters.
Yeah.
So they're just showing us this system. It's like they're trying to teach the system of number, how they're working and playing together.
Yeah.
And
you were talking last time about how you can interpret the base side of the Great Pyramid as 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8 times 9 divided by 10. That's another example. Inches, that is, isn't it? Inches. Yeah. To go back to music, Dane, you were saying about you were saying about how it's like it's so obvious, it's there in nature, it's just something that's, the universe is mathematical and everything, but it's kind of like almost as well a cultural thing. It's a constraint that you want to put upon your creations. If you're composing, if you're singing, don't you think it's like something that you want to inherit as a kind of an artifact and use and implement in your life?
Because anybody can string up something, can't they? Like, as in just stretch something over 2 ends and sort of just dung dung dung. I'm thinking of a caveman doing it, and and they're just looking at each other going, "Ooh, listen to that." And just a real getting right back to the bare basics, and that the development on from there, sort of that's the seed, this kind of exciting time that they might have got a piece of gut. Gut I think was used by at the time for strings. Yeah. And I'm just trying to imagine the first people that ever did this, and then passing on the knowledge, and who knows how long it took to get to this 9 hertz, all this kind of amazing stuff. They would have, the development, I don't know where, what came first, the chicken or the egg, but if I'm kind of thinking the string, just these simple things of the 5 senses, dong, 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 and then math maybe later, and they would have realized, holy dooly, the arithmetic and geometry and also astronomy are all matching, like they match each other, they mirror each other, they're all doing the same thing. And that might have, who knows when that came, later on or somewhere along the line, but then we get to the pyramid builders and they had it pretty well sussed by then. So we'll just do that King's Chamber. So in feet, we've got the King's Chamber to the equator in feet. We've got it there in the meters and miles. So meters is the 3317760. Miles is 2062. Times that by the feet, and we got feet. So we divide it by how many minutes there are in a day. And so we go 1088736 and divide that by the minutes in a day. And we get 576, Melissa and Paul. We get 576, which is one side of the Great Pyramid, in feet.
Nice.
And that's, so yeah, we've got distance from, that's all, how is this working? And then we do even say Saturn. We go Saturn. 736 divided by 378, which is Saturn's synodic period. And that's, then we get 2880. So we divide that by 378, just so you guys can have a look at it. But there's the feet. And then we divide it by Saturn's synodic period, 378. Sorry, this bloody camera. And we get 2880 again, which is that D note and how many hours in those seasons. They had 3 seasons of 2,880 hours. So isn't that insane that this just keeps sort of happening without any fancy stuff? So yes, Saturn is time, and he 3 times 7 times 8 is 168, and that's how many hours there are in a week. So I think I can see why they've chosen Saturn as time. There's a lot of reasons, and we're probably getting to near the end of but just wanted to show just these really simple. I hope they're simple, but just those the seeds, the basics of it all. Where I started off with looking at Alluthia, and he gave me this 12th root of 2 Bizzo. I just had a look at the spreadsheet, noticed some numbers, and then now noticing that I'm actually getting even the Royal Cubit. The Royal Cubit 52.5 0.5 times 3 is that 157.5. And then we times it by 6 and you get 315, which is the very center of the string, the very middle of the string. That's the octave. And then the last one times 9, I think it was that 472.5. So it's given us Saturn. So the Royal Cubit times 3 or times 6 or times 9 is just giving us the middle of the string and the 24th fret. So it's given us Saturn again. Yep. And the octave of that open string. It just keeps eating its own tail. It's sort of like the Ouroboros. Yeah, beautiful.
And you might add that the cubit becomes especially interesting when you read it in meters or centimeters, and when you read it in inches, because all these numbers come through then.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
that's
sorry,
right.
did you? Yeah. So it's really interesting to read the cubit in meters, in inches, and to see all these numbers coming through.
Yeah. They keep popping up with these harmonic numbers, which are all very musical. They are that music, yeah. And the minutes in a day, I think that's why we should probably change it back to 432, our tuning, is it just matches, you know, our timekeeping.
Yeah,
And
I'd say that the fact that we have a certain number of minutes in the day, or had different ones before, it's all down to this idea of you kind of like try and understand what are the numbers that govern the universe, and then you implement them in your like cultural frameworks, I guess. So it's minutes and hours and all the rest of it. Then.
Yeah. And sorry, the last one as well is the 19th fret was Jupiter, right? So he's at the 19th fret, and it's 19 times 21. 18 times 21 is the Saturn, 378. 19 times 21 is Jupiter. So we've got this, as we know in our religious texts, it's all about this Saturn and Jupiter, you know, Jove, and I won't go into all that, but they seem to be the key players all the time. And they do have this ridiculously gorgeous relationship, whether it be mathematical and their conjunction cycles. And they also, me and Ralph Ellis have had a little bit of a pickle about this one. But
I was going to ask you about that, actually, because I'm a friend of his on Facebook, and I saw something the other day.
Well, yeah, Ralph wants to tell me that there's 3 giant penises in Egypt, and that's, you know, fair enough. the pyramids are just big willies. And I get it, you know, I get that the premise of all that, but yeah, I was saying about the I think it was the what do we call it, the Star of Renfan, or the Star of David.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was checking out some Rosicrucian stuff years ago, and Peter Dawkins, and he shows it really nice and clearly. But basically, when we get a conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, they happen every 20 years, and they say it's in Gemini, and then straight across from Gemini is Sagittarius, and then it'll go up. So basically, it does this pattern, right? It goes across and then up and down, and in between those years, because they're every 20, between those, so every 10 in the center, they make the upside down. They make the upside down triangle. So Saturn and Jupiter conjunctions do this. That's literally what they do in the sky above us. You know, if you draw out on the ground on a map, and you have your 12 constellations, you'll pretty easily notice, if you're a magi or a druid or somebody, that you're like, oh, it's in Gemini, and then it's in, you know, it's doing this. Yeah, you can just draw it out, and you see this Star of David pattern. So the Great Conjunction, if you look back at all the historical events, it seems like somebody might know about it. And I mean, like the ones that aren't on TV, you know, kind of maybe behind the scenes, maybe those big families, the old families, they seem to know about this, because 1940s, we know about the world wars. There was a conjunction, and every time we look at a conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, the biggest sort of historical events on Earth seem to have occurred at those times. And not maybe they planned it, maybe it was. I don't think it's causation. You know, it's when there's a conjunction, crazy things happen. I'm not sort of suggesting that, but maybe the people on Earth here understand this ancient conjunction cycle. And I was going to say,
that's a very big conversation. We could do a whole video on that as well, probably. Okay, this has been absolutely beautiful, mate. I've really enjoyed listening to you talk, as always. Incredibly illuminating stuff. I just wanted to finish with a couple of questions for you. So you've mentioned Howard Crowhurst in the show, and I'm a big fan of John Neal and John Michel. Where do you feel your work extends theirs, rather than just confirming it?
I think it's basically this tying together of all the different systems. Like I know that there's a lot of pushback against the meter, and I'm not suggesting that they had the meter like we have it. I think the 39.37 inches is derived from that time. Okay, so I think that what I'm what I think my work does to do with Howard or John Neal and those guys is that it shows that whether it's megalithic yards or cubits, or they all come out of this 7 days of the week, the minutes of 7 days in the week, 10080. That's the starting point for all of your measures, fellas. That's where this is it. When you look at a compass, we have seconds and minutes and all that on a compass, so it's kind of a bit of a clue that time and space are inseparable, and that this is kind of exactly where it all begins. And everything comes out of that number, cubits and inches, miles, just everything. Showed you before. You times that by 2 pi, you got inches in a mile. You divide it by 16, you got 630. That's my string length. You divide it by another 16, 630 divided by 16, you get the 39.7. You got the meter. Hey, like it just comes out of this, and it's really kind of not convoluted. It's like an Occam razor. Yeah. I think that's it might have put to bed all those kind of things. I'd hopefully in time it will, but yeah, I think that they all are from here, from this time. And why Saturn is so important is to the ancient cultures is that he's the time guy, and I think time might have came first, and they're probably very close together, but time and space are linked. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, brilliant. Well, last question for you, Dane. If someone listening takes just one thing away from your work, not a number, not a planet, not a monument, what way of looking do you think changes for them?
You are no accident. And like I was carrying on about before, look at this thing. The motive, that's because what motivates me to do all this silliness with numbers are the unborn, even, and the conflict on the earth. To get a little bit personal, I grew up in a pretty hectic household. Now, we lived on the beach, and we have my father's a stonemason bricklayer, and he built a mansion. People drive past and go, "Oh my God, it looks like it's straight out of Scotland." It's 45 degrees. It looks like it's a church. People call it the Congo Castle or the church. It looks like a church. Buttresses. It's a church, really. So I had a hard time, and I might have met Flea at 14 and had the most ridiculous experiences for 28 years with the most famous people in the world. But I've been a hurt young fella and an angry man, and I still struggle with my hot head. And I really love those experiences though, because I can feel the pain of others, and I just think the conflict on Earth it looks like we're just doing metrology, but we're not. Where this ties us all back together, that we are one big, beautiful family, and the religions, the Abrahamic faiths, and the Muslims hating the Jews and the Christians hating these things we're looking at here, these structures, these numbers, music. These are common things to all mankind. This is common to all man, and they are the glue that binds us. That's why I do all this, is that I think that if the kids were taught these things about the music of the spheres, of how this is like this, the ratios are proportional to this sonic phenomena, it's like a design. There was no accident. We are all together in this. And it is conflict. This conflict is just, it is unnecessary and can be finished and ended if we just knew the very basics of how this place operates, how the mechanics of the world. It's divine, it's beautiful, it's harmonic and symmetrical, and it's no accident. And man discovered it and didn't create it. He just fell upon it and tried to teach us with these gigantic structures. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful and very inspiring answer to my question. So thank you so much for that, Dane. I think this
Thanks,
is a
mate.
good place to finish. So thank you,
Thanks, guys.
Melissa. Huge thanks to
Thank
Dane.
you.
Please do check out Dane's work. The link to the Saturn Rooster YouTube channel is underneath this video. Is there anywhere else, Dane, where people can follow you, mate?
No, just Saturn Rooster on the YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Brilliant.
I like to say to people, don't subscribe, don't like. I'm not a content creator. But yeah, check it out, and if you love these things, but yeah, I'm not
Okay.
fussed really about all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Well, there's some brilliant
that's the
stuff
only
on
place
there.
you'll really find. Yeah.
Okay, mate. Lovely.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you all. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'm sure I'll catch up again with you, Dane, for another video in the not too distant future. And
Thanks, guys.
thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.
Cool.